Good day, viewers. You are welcome to another wonderful class of social study. I remain your teacher, Adefisayo Olonishakin. Last week, we dealt with marriage, and we explained the meaning, the types, and different forms of marriage, including the importance of marriage. And we also discussed during the last class that marriage is ordained by God, and that the Bible says the man should leave his home and be cleaved to his wife. So during today's lesson, we are going to continue on the same topic, which is marriage, but we are going to touch various aspects of marriage. The first one is concept of marriage, various concepts of marriage. 2, the procedures in marriage. 3, readiness in marriage. 4, effect of lack of readiness in marriage. 5, the challenges of marriage. 6, the solutions to the various challenges of marriage. So we are going to start with the first one, which is marriage concept. What do I call it? Marriage concept. Marriage concept. Under marriage concept, we are going to explain some points. Now, the first one that we are going to explain is levirate marriage. Levirate marriage. Levirate marriage is a practice which allows a man to marry his elder brother's wife who has been widowed. Then it's also allow a man to marry the younger wife or the wives of his late father. And that is common among the traditional rulers, where you have a new king marrying the wife of the former king, who may happen to be his father. The second one is surrogate marriage. It's the practice which allows a man to marry his wife-to-be younger sister. His wife-to-be what? Younger sister, who is of marriageable age. She must be mature to marry, and that will happen after the man has paid a substantial part of the dowry. But before the marriage is carried out, the wife dies. So it's going to be an agreement. The two families must agree that the man should marry the younger sister of the late wife. That is why we say that this practice allows a man to marry his wife-to-be younger sister who is of marriageable age. And I've also explained that the parents of the bride and the groom must agree. There must be an agreement, and the lady in question must also support the marriage. So this always happens when the substantial part of the bride price has been paid before the lady dies. Then we have another one, which is infant betrothal. Under infant betrothal, is allowed the fulfillment of marriage formality when those that are involved are still young. The marriage that is being performed on behalf of those that are young, even though they don't know what marriage is. You can imagine a girl of 5 years being betrothed to a man of 30 years. The marriage formality will be carried out, despite the fact that the girl in question may not really understand the meaning of marriage. Then we have exogamy. 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 This practice forbids a man or a woman from marrying anybody from his family or anybody who happens to be a relation, which means, as a boy, you cannot marry your sister If you are a girl, as a sister, you cannot marry your brother. And you cannot marry as a girl, you cannot marry your father. And you cannot, as a boy, you cannot marry your mother. So it is forbidden to marry anybody that you share the same blood with. Then the last one, under the concept of marriage, is endogamy. Endogamy allows the spouses to come from within the same group. It allows spouses to come from the same group. It could be within the same ethnic group, the same religious group, or the same social and economic group. Like a Christian marrying a Christian, that is from the same religious group. Then when we talk about the same ethnic group, it may be a Yoruba man marrying a Yoruba man, an Hausa woman marrying an Hausa woman. And it may be from the same ethnic group or the same town, whereby you marry somebody who is from your town, indigenous town. Then when it is the same social or economic group, that means a boy that is from a wealthy family is only allowed to marry those that are from high-class family. And if you marry from such, it is always an arranged one, except if it is based on love. Then we move to the next one, which is procedures in marriage. Procedures in marriage. Now, before marriage can take place, there are some steps that must be followed. Before marriage can take place, there are some steps that one must follow. Number one is proposal. Proposal. In Africa, the man is the one that used to propose to the lady for marriage. And you know what we used to call it? You propose love. Hey girl, I want to marry you. I like you. I love you. I want to marry you. But in some other part of the world, the female can propose and say, oh boy, I like you. But in African context, it is not like that. In African society, the man proposes to the lady for marriage. What is the next step? Acceptance. The man and the woman must accept to marry each other. It is when they accept to marry each other that the marriage can now go on. You remember I said that the man will propose, then the lady will accept. Those are the two steps that I have mentioned. Now, after acceptance, there must be parental consent. That means that the parents must agree. Marriage is not something that one can do on his own or on her own. One must seek the approval of the parents. So the parents of the man and the woman must agree before marriage can take place. After parental consent, then there will be courtship. There will be what? There will be courtship. And courtship is a period of knowing each other, where the man will start visiting the lady will start visiting the man. And mind you, under religious marriage, courtship must be done under the guidance of the church, which means you cannot just go and visit your boyfriend and stay there alone. You must go with somebody, which will be organized by the church. After courtship, the two families will now agree on how the bride price will be paid. That leads us to payment of bride price. Payment of what? The bride price. This is done during traditional marriage to the bride's family. And the bride price differs from one family to another, from one ethnic group to another ethnic group. There are some tribes or there are some ethnic groups that will demand for huge amount of money. And that is why you see some men, they won't be married until they are 50. And we have some ethnic groups that will just ask for little money and some foodstuffs that will be shared among the bride's family. And there are some ethnic groups where the husband will be beaten to stupor. So if he can withstand the beating, then he's fit for marriage. So after the payment of that bride price, then the marriage can now take place. So the marriage ceremony is the final stage of the procedure in marriage. So the final stage can be traditional, can be religious, can be in registry form, or marriage under the Act. Now we move to the next one, which is readiness in marriage. What are the conditions for marriage? How would somebody know that you are fit for marriage, that you can now go into marriage? Number one is love. And you remember that one of the commandments in the Bible is that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. Now, if you are not talking about somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with, there must be love. You must have feelings, emotion for that person that you want as your husband or as your wife. Because you know that marriage is something that will not end. It is forever. There should not be breakage in marriage. There should not be anything like divorce in marriage. So there must be love before you can propose to anybody that you want to marry. Then, apart from the issue of love, physical maturity is also an important point. You must be physically fit. That means that all parts of your body must be fully developed. If you look at a 7-year-old girl and you look at somebody who is 25, which one will you approve for marriage? Will you approve the younger one? No. Because physically, if you look at her, she may not even be able to carry out the responsibility of a wife. Number 3 is psychological maturity. When it comes to issue of emotion, being able to take things. Like some of us, even as old as we are, when there are issues, we still feel somehow. Talk less of those ones that are young. So you must be psychologically ready, emotionally ready about marriage before you jump into it. Then socially, you must be stable. You must be the type of person that can interact with members of the society very well. You can imagine if you want to marry, you need to inform people. You need to move. People need to know you. You cannot isolate yourself and be able to get somebody that you will marry. Number 5, you must be financially ready. Financial readiness. That means you must have some things, money in your pocket. An husband-to-be must be able to fend for his family. Should be able to, buy things for the family, even spend money during the wedding, and be able to rent a house where he will keep his wife, and that will be done only with money. Then the husband-to-be and the wife-to-be must have character. They must be able to study each other, know the type of person you want to marry. Is he a drunkard? Is he a womanizer? Is he a child of God? That is why the issue of God comes in. Is he a child of God? As a Christian, who am I supposed to marry? You look at the character. Can we flow together? When we live together, can we flow together? Remember that the two people will be from different family, different background. That is why the issue of character is very important. Health is another important point. Health matters. That is why in churches, before you get married, they will say you should go and do some tests to find out if you are okay to go into marriage. There should be tests. The person must be physically all right before you can go into marriage. The last point there is is compatibility. You must be compatible. You should be able to live together. You should be your partner should be somebody you can discuss with, somebody you can talk to, somebody you can relate to. That there should not be differences between the two of you. When there must be agreements in everything you are doing. That is where compatibility comes in. Then we go to effects of lack of readiness. If one is not ready to go into marriage and one tries to jump into it, what are the things that will happen? Number one, there will be constant misunderstanding. There will be conflicts. There will be misunderstanding. There will be fighting on a daily basis because they fail to understand each other before getting into the wedding or before getting married. And the two couples, if they are not ready, maybe financially they are not yet ready, the wife is not doing anything, the husband is not doing anything, of course, poverty will set in. That is the second point. It will lead to poverty. Inability to take care of one's need using money. Because when the husband and the wife, when they are not doing anything, it will be very difficult for them to be able to meet their needs. Talk less of meeting the need of the extended family. Now, if they are married and they don't understand each other, they don't have money to feed, if they give back to children, what do you think will happen? The children will have problems. That's where problematic children comes in as number 3 points. Lack of readiness can lead to problematic children. That is why you see all these boys under the bridge, you see them moving around, smoking. They behave as if they don't have any parents. It's not that they don't have parents. It's because of the issues that they have at home. So it can lead to having problematic children because they cannot fend for the family. And it can also lead to divorce. It can lead to what? To divorce. That is when the man will now say, I can no longer live with you. The woman will say, I can no longer live with you. You are not providing for the family. That can lead to divorce. Then we move to the next one, which is challenges in marriage. This is very important because the two people are coming from different family and different background. And if that should be the case, there will be challenges. And it is only when you have the faith that you can overcome the challenge. The Bible says that can two work together except they agree? If there is no agreement, if there are issues that you fail to trash out before going into marriage, there are some challenges that will follow. Number one is infertility. What is infertility? Inability of the married couple, inability to have children, not being able to have children, maybe after marriage. It may be because of health problem. It may not even be because of any reason. It may be because of the way they live together at home. Maybe there is always constant misunderstanding. It may be because of that. And when the family discover that there is no child, you will see them, misbehaving, telling the husband to go and marry another wife, telling the wife to go and look for another husband. The second point there is unfaithfulness. That is another challenge that most families face. Unfaithfulness, where the man will be married to a man and will still have other concubines outside the home. Or you see the wife going after men. Unfaithfulness. And when there is unfaithfulness, we know that the marriage cannot stand. Number 3, we have mentioned infertility, inability to give birth. Number 3 point is related to number 1, which is absence of male children. It's not that the woman is not giving birth this time around. but she's unable to give birth to a male child. And do you know the belief of people? They used to say that it's the male child that will carry on the name of the family. And that if there is no male child, the girl child will marry, and they will forget about the name of the family, which we know is not like that. There are some people that are female and married, and they are bearing the name of their father. Then communication gap can also cause a problem, where the two married couples fail to communicate, when they fail to talk to each other, to relate when it comes to the problems that they are having. If there is any problem and you are unable to talk to the next party, then there will be issues. Number 5, we have activities of intruders. Who are the intruders? Family members, neighbors, friends. They are all intruders. You know that marriage is between two people. And it's the two people that is supposed to always have communication. So they are the two people that is supposed to discuss their problems. But when you now see the third party coming in to interfere in the issue of the family, then there will be problem in the family. Number 6 is lack of respect and love for each other. That is when the wife is claiming to be superior over the husband. Maybe it may be because the wife is richer than the husband. That can cause problem. Lack of respect. And the last point there, under challenges of marriage, is poverty due to joblessness. Poverty due to what? Joblessness. Now, we have mentioned that under readiness to marry, that before you can say you want to go into marriage, you must be okay financially. So challenges that most homes face is the issue of poverty, which comes as a result of joblessness. You know, there are a lot of people that are looking for job outside there. There was a day I was teaching this particular topic, and a student told me that I don't even want to get married. I don't think I will marry. I asked why. She mentioned some of the challenges that she's facing at home. And we had to talk it over before she finally agreed that when she grows up, she will give it a try. Now, we have mentioned all the challenges. Now, what are the solutions to the challenges of marriage? What are the solutions to the challenges of marriage? Number 1 is that we should be able to forgive each other. We should be able to forgive each other. There must be demonstration of true love between the husband and the wife. We should be able to forgive. That is number 1, because we are from two different backgrounds, and there is bound to be misunderstanding. There is bound to be conflict. So there is need for the husband and the wife to always forgive each other. Then there must be demonstration of true love, not fake love, not partial love, but true love. Like the type of love that Jesus exhibited in the Bible. He laid down his life for us. So if he can lay down his life and shed his blood because of me and you too, you should be able to forgive and have the love for your spouse. So there should be demonstration of true love. Then fidelity. Fidelity is another one. Being able to stick to your partner. Then maturity. You should be able to exhibit maturity in your marriage to show that you are okay, that you can stand. You can stand the marriage. You can fight for your spouse at any point in time. And you can even fight for your marriage. Then we should resist, number 6, we should resist third person. We should resist the influence of another person, which may be your friend, it may be your neighbor, it may even be your family members. You should resist the third party. Then there should be time for communication. You discover that most parents at home, when they leave for work in the morning, they come back very late in the night. There may not be time for discussion. So what should they do? There should be time for communication. That is one of the means by which we can resolve issues, to solve problems that are on ground. Then the last point there says there should be readiness to accommodate each other's weakness. Maybe the wife may be the type of person that loves, keeping her things tidy. And the husband is not like that. He's the type of person that just throws his shirts, his shoe, anyhow in the house. You should be able to accommodate and correct in love. And gradually, you will discover that the wife or the husband will change. So far, so good. We have been able to discuss this concept of marriage, the procedure in marriage, that there will be proposal, acceptance, parental consent, courtship, payment of bride price, and marriage ceremony. We also touch readiness in marriage, that one must be ready, physically ready, socially ready, financially ready. You must have good character. You must be compatible. And that if one is not ready, what are the effects? That it will lead to constant misunderstanding in the family, the poverty. One may give birth to problematic children because of the issue on ground, and it can cause separation, which is divorce. And we later on went to challenges that people face in marriage, like the issue of infertility, unfaithfulness, absence of male children, communication gap, activity of intruders, lack of respect and love for each other, then poverty because of lack of job. And we touched the area of solutions to the challenges that we have mentioned, that it is good to forgive each other when there is problem, that one should demonstrate true love. We should stick to one husband. We should not look around. That is fidelity. Then there should be maturity. We should respect and cooperate with each other. Then apart from that we should resist the third party. And there should be time for communication, and we should be ready to accommodate each other. So, we have some practice questions here. Number 1 says, what is marriage? 2 say, list 3 functions of marriage. And number 3 say, mention 3 types of marriage. The one we have discussed during our previous class. Marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman as one. Then it says we should list 3 functions of marriage: for procreation, for development, for companionship. Mention 3 types of marriage: traditional marriage, religious marriage, and registry marriage. Now we have the assignment for today. Number 1 says we should list 4 concepts of marriage. 2, mention 4 challenges of marriage. Number 3, list 2 solutions to the challenges of marriage. Number 4, state 2 factors that should be considered before choosing a marriage partner. List 2 factors that should be considered before choosing a marriage partner. Now we've come to the end of the class. I remain your suitable teacher, Adefisayo Olanishakin. See you next time, and remain blessed.
So last week, we discussed on the topic, the rule of law, where we learned that rule of law is the absolute predominance of law over everybody. In other words, nobody is above the law. We are all equal before the law. We learned a lot from that topic, but today we'll be looking at the topic, democracy. What is democracy? Before I define it, I want to believe that in your classes, while you were in school, there have been a time you wanted to choose a class captain, and your teacher asked you to vote. Raise up your hand if you want A, to be the class captain, or B, to be the class captain. That is a process of democracy. And maybe also in your house, it has happened that your dad or mom wanted to do something, and he told you to either agree or disagree. We want to do this or want to go somewhere. Do you agree we should go? And then you voted, whether with your words, yes or no. That's a process of democracy, but in a little way. But now I want to look at it in the bigger way. What is then democracy? Democracy can be defined as a form of government where qualified citizens have equal opportunity to participate in government and to take part in the process of decision making. What we mean by this definition is that democracy is that form of government that gives opportunity to everybody that are qualified to participate in government and to take part in the process of decision making. Like in Nigeria, the process, the qualification we are talking about is that age and sound mind. You are up to 18 years, or you are in sound mind. You are qualified to be a part of this democracy we are talking about. But when you are not up to 18, then you are not qualified. So when we look at this word democracy then, it originated from the Greek word, demokratia. This word is also broken down into two. We have demos. Demos means people. And then we have a kratia. Kratia means rule. It means also government. When the two are joined together, it became rule of the people. So democracy is a rule of the people. No wonder the 16th American president gave this definition, Abraham Lincoln, that democracy is defined as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. In other words, he was saying that democracy is a form of government that is approved by the governed. So once the governed, the people that are being led, they agreed, then it is a democratic process. Then, if you look at the picture below, this picture shows democratic process. You see people that are casting their votes. What they are doing here is just to show us that people are electing those they want to represent them in the government. Then we move on then to the factors that led to the modern democracy. What are these factors? Number one is religious belief. What's the belief of the religion? The religious people believe that God created everyone equal, and that the government is established to take care of these people equally. Then someone will say, are you trying to drag God into the matter of democracy? Yes, God is also a Democrat. For example, he said, come and let us reason together. And also, when we look at the Bible, there was a time the elders, the people of Israel, demanded for a king. They said, we need somebody to be our king. Samuel went to God and said, look at what these people are asking for. And God said, grant it unto them. So the king that was elected or appointed or ordained at that time was a man of the people. So that government was the government of the people, and that is democracy. Now, number two is historical writings. There are some people that wrote certain books. Certain people like John Locke. We have Aristotle, and many of them. John Locke, for example, he stated that property, life, liberty, and estate are national rights of the people. The government is therefore established to ensure that the people enjoy this right that they have. That is the essence of the government. And then for that government to be, they have to elect, they have to decide who should be their leader. And that is what this man wrote about. Then number 3, the American Revolution. When America was under colony or colonialism, a time came that they were no longer satisfied with the rule of the colonial master. And therefore, they demanded for a vast representatives and also for their own freedom. They fought for it until they got it. So when this happened, it became an example to all other nations of the world to copy him. Then number 4, we have disintegration of state authority. Under this disintegration of state authority, Rome fell. Rome was a powerful nation at that time. But a time came that Rome fell. And the power that be at that time became shattered and scattered. So everybody was now having a right to that power, having a right to it. And this became an example to many nations of the world to copy. From that moment, people began to fight, people began to seek for their own power. And that is when nations began to gain independence from their colonial masters. The 5th one is the French Revolution. French Revolution. The French also, this happened when the French got disappointed of their monarchical system. Initially, French was a pure monarchical system. But a time came, the monarchy system was not able to meet the needs of the people, the demands of the people. What did they need? They were not able to take care of it. And the people have to fight and say, no, this system cannot work for them. They need freedom. They need liberty where they can take care of every one of them. They fought for it, and then they won. And this became an example and a point of reference to many other nations of the world. Having considered these factors that led to the modern democracy, we want to look at the types of democracy. We have 2 major types of democracy. One, direct democracy. The second one is indirect or representative democracy. Democracy started in the Greek city of Athens. Then Athens was just a small population people. So then qualified adults could come together and discuss. We have this issue. How do we solve it? Everyone will make a contribution. They will summarize it, and then they will implement. A time then came that there was population explosion when it became impossible for people to gather together in one place. That then brought about the second one that we also talk about. Now, this Greek city of Athens democracy, we can also liken it to the life of the Igbo people in Nigeria, where in their village square, the elders, the qualified adults, gather together under the tree or in a market square to take a decision on issues that affect them. So everyone will contribute. We want it to be in this way, we want it to be in that way. And after then, everybody disperse and we'll go home. But like I said, a time came that it was not possible for everyone to come together and take a decision again. For example, look at Ogun State, the population of this state. If we want to gather together to take a decision on issue, where do we gather? How can we be taken care of to take a decision? So then since now being applied, look, it is good we select some people to represent our interests where they are taking this decision. Whatever they then decide on will be binding on every one of us. That is what brought about indirect democracy or representative democracy. If you look at the picture below, you will see that one of Athens, though it's a painted picture, but shows Athens, where they gather together taking issues on what affect them. Then when you look at this second picture, you will see that this one is talking about the Igbo people gather together taking a decision on issues that also affect them. That is a democratic setting. Having that be done, on this indirect democracy also you see the pictures of people choosing who they want to represent them in the parliament where decision is being taken or are being taken. Having looked at this also, we want to move on to the next subheading, features of a democracy. In other words, where you see a democratic setting, what are those things that happen? What are those things that are associated with this democracy of a thing? Number one, regular and periodic election is conducted. In other words, in every democratic setting, you see that there is a conduct of election every now and then. Like in Nigeria and many other countries of the world, you will see that every 4 years we conduct election to elect representatives. In 2011, we elected, and then we conducted election and elected some people. In 2015, we conducted election and elected some people. Then in 2019, we conducted election again and elected some people. And in 2023, we are going to conduct another one. That is a feature of a democracy. Number two, equality before the law. In every democratic setting, everybody is equal before the law. This is because the rule of law operates in a democratic system of government. There's no other government where you have rule of law operating except in democracy. That is why the world advocates for democratic process in every nation of the world, because it is the best system of government. Number three, majority rule in democratic setting. Like I told you at the beginning, you want to do something, or probably you want to elect a captain in your class. Then your teacher say, vote, who do you want to be the class captain? And the one that has the highest number is said to be the elected one. That is majority rule. So even in this high level we discuss democracy too, whoever has the majority support of the people is said to be elected and the representative of the people. So majority rule operates in a democratic setting. Then number four, respect for the right of the minority. Even though majority have their way, however, the minority also have their rights, which must be respected. So in every democratic setting, though we have majority people and then we have also minority people, respect is given to the minority also, so that they don't feel being sublimed in the system. They are also carried along. Number five, existence of political parties. In every democratic setting, we have political parties. And like in Nigeria, we have so many of them, so many political parties there, bearing different logos and having their own mottos and the rest of them. So number six, recognition, respect, and protection of human rights operate in a democratic setting. You know, I told you it's a feature of rule of law. And because rule of law operates in a democratic system, definitely human right is recognized, is respected, and as well is promoted or protected in a democratic setting. Number seven, the next one, freedom of press is allowed. In every democratic setting, they talk about the media, the newspaper, and the rest of them. They are given the freedom to operate. You see something, and then what? You say something. Maybe your dad or your mom is even a journalist or so. Then we have supremacy of the Constitution. In every democratic setting, the Constitution is supreme. It's above everybody. Nobody is above the Constitution. So whatever the Constitution says is binding on everybody, whether you're a ruler or you are a follower. And also another feature is judiciary independence. In a democratic setting, the judiciary is given independence to operate, so that nobody can intimidate them to do what they don't want to do, or nobody can push them in one way or the other to do whatever they don't want to do. So they must be fair to everybody. And for this to happen then, they must be given a freedom. That is why they have that independence to operate in every democratic setting. I want to believe you understand what I have talked about. Having looked at that then, it will be good. Also, we say to the merits of democracy. Is democracy really good? Do we need it in our country? Do we need to practice it? Why not just one man rule and then the rest of us will follow? So what are these merits? What are these benefits? What are these importance of this democracy? Number one, there is even and equal development, economically, politically, and socially. How does that happen? The resources the nation have is shared among the people, especially if that country is subdivided into different parts, maybe regions or states. Then they have opportunity to develop themselves. Like in Nigeria, you see what is happening. Development is happening in Lagos, it's happening in Kano, it's happening in Abuja, it's happening in Abia State, and in many other states of the world, because we practice a democratic process where people have freedom to do whatever they want to do according to the law. Number two, respect of human dignity and fundamental human rights operate in a democratic setting. There is nowhere else you can enjoy fundamental human rights except in a democratic setting. If it's not democratic, you can't enjoy it. And that is why the world advocates for democratic system of government in every nation of the world. I want to believe you too, you will advocate for it, because there you will have freedom. If you don't have freedom, there are many things you cannot enjoy. Number three, democracy promotes the rule of law. You know, when I was explaining the other time, those factors there, I mentioned that. In a democratic process, the rule of law is promoted. The Constitution says so. We have democracy, people choose, this is what should happen, this is what we want to do, this is what we want. Yeah, definitely, then the rule of law operates in such a country. And that is why nobody is above the law. The law is above everybody, whether you're a ruler or you are a follower. Also, in a democratic setting, another benefit to enjoy is that it allows direct or indirect political participation of citizens. It is not a type of government imposed on the people. No, the people are the ones that decide what happens in that government, who we want to lead us. And that is why you see in nations you have leaders that were removed after one term in office. The people said, we don't want him again. And they removed him away and chose the one that they want. And ditto to states in the country. We don't want this governor, remove him away, and then we have another fellow elected. So people have that opportunity to participate in such a government. Let me tell you, in any other government aside democracy, citizens do not have a right to operate. They don't have a right to participate. They don't have a right to air a say concerning such a government. Number five, in democratic setting, it promotes legitimacy, because government that is elected is said to be legitimate. Why do we say legitimacy? Legitimacy means operating according to the law. So the people that are chosen to lead, they are elected according to the law. Therefore, such a system is what? Is legitimate. It's according to the law. The number six, it ensures political stability, because it is a smooth way of changing from one government to another. People know if I lose, it is because the people do not vote for me. If I win, it is because majority people voted for me. That's why I won. So we could see there, for that reason, nobody dispute, nobody fight, nobody carries machete, nobody carries gun. Oh, I was the winner, but I was not given. No, because the people know I was voted for. Or that fellow was voted for. That was why he won. So in democratic setting, we enjoy all these merits that we have discussed, and probably many more that we cannot talk about here. Having examined that, as good as democracy is, does democracy have the other side? Does it have demerit? Does it have sides that are not good, that are not interesting? Yes, of course. One of them is it is expensive to operate, hence waste of the nation's resources. Democracy is very expensive to operate. What do we mean? Or what do we mean by that? You spend a huge amount of money to conduct election. According to public analysts, they said money we spent in 2015, for example, in Nigeria, and in 2019 is enough to take care of decade infrastructures in the country. So therefore, it's very expensive. And then we move on again to the money we pay these elected people. The people in the parliament, for example, in Nigeria, we have 360 members in the lower house and 109 members in the Senate, the upper house. Then the president and then the ministers, the governor, the commissioners, and the members of the House of Assembly at the state level. Then talk about the local government chairperson, and then the councillors and other people that work there. The money we use to pay these people, the money we use to conduct election, the analysts say is enough to invest in our social infrastructure, and then that one will help us a lot. Number two disadvantage, it gives room to slow decision making. It gives room for slow decision. Imagine we want to make a particular law. It has to pass through the 360 members of the House of Representatives, the 109 members of the Senate. The time it takes for this decision to take place is so long that before they conclude, many things might have spoiled. So there is slow decision making in a democratic setting, in a bid to satisfy everybody that participates in the process of a government. The number three, it brings about corruption and manipulation of an election. Where individual is on the bid to win, I have to win, I have to win, I have to be the winner, then manipulation and corruption set in. And that is why all over the world, there is no really election that is said to be free and fair. There's no election. Every election, one issue will come up, it was tampered with, it was manipulated, something happened there. Why? Because the fellow wanted to win and decided to include certain things, to involve certain people, to do this, to do that, just for him to win. So it brings about corruption and manipulation of an election. Number four, the elected representative may actually be representing themselves, but not the people. This is the problem we have in the third world countries of the world, that people that are elected most of the times represent themselves and their family, and not actually the people that elected them to be in such an office. Having looked at that, we see to the fifth point, it can lead to violence, killings, and destruction of lives and property when a particular party is not satisfied. And as we are concluding, democracy can breed loss of trust in the elected people. Like in the third world, people look not to have confidence on those they elected because they believe they are not representing their interest. And lastly, it often creates fear of domination on the minority. So having looked at that, today we're able to examine what democracy is. We look at the factors that led to the modern democracy, and also we examine the types of democracy. We say we have two of them, direct and indirect. Then we looked at the features of democracy. And having done that, we examine the merits of democracy and the merit of democracy. Before we go, I have this assignment for you. Find out the conditions that can lead to the success of democracy in your country. Find out the conditions that can lead to the success of democracy in your country. And I believe by the time we meet again, we'll be able to discuss some other things. So I remain Jude Upper. Thank you for being a part of this class.